So for today, we're going to go over side angle side triangle theorem. Again, we're going through proving triangles are congruent. We started with angle side angle. Now we're going over side angle side. So as we work through these ones, we want to again just kind of keep basis of what we're going to be working on. So we went angle side angle. We went through ASA, and now we're going to go through SAS. So we're going to go side angle side. What's important to understand is when side angle side, when we're talking about the triangles, the angle that's included needs to be between the two sides. So when I look at it, I need to have a side here, then an angle, and then another side. Side, angle, and then another side. If it doesn't follow that format, okay, if I look at it and says it doesn't give me that, so we'll go like this. So if it went here, if we went like this, we went this side, and this angle, this side, and this angle, it wouldn't work. So side, side, angle does not include side, side, angle, so that does not work. So it has to be the two sides and what we call the included angle, the angle that's between them. So when we come to here, we have this side is congruent to this side. We have this angle, but it's not included in this angle, is not the same, okay? And so we do have two sides that are congruent, but this does not follow, okay? They're not congruent. And you just say angle A does not equal angle D. And so that's why they're not congruent. If we come to this, looking at it, I have a side, I have a side. I have an angle, 37. I have an angle, 37. I have a side, I have a side. So we are good. So we would say that triangle J, we'll go JKL is congruent, and order matters. So J corresponds to M. So we'd say M, N, P. So I went J and then along this long side, so I need to go there. So make sure, and we'd say by side angle side. So make sure we put that in there. All right, determine whether the triangles are congruent. Explain your reasoning. Again, we go through it. So we have this angle. This is a congruent angle. It's congruent to this one, so we have an angle, which is good. Then we have 2.5, so that side goes with this side. And then 1.7 and 1.7. So you can see side, angle, side. That angle's in between those two sides. So once again, yes, we'd say triangle. And then we could say DEF is congruent to triangle G. So we went D, so G, H, J by, and this is what we'd said, side, angle, side. So make sure you show your work. Showing your work can just be putting down an S or an A on those as you move through it. So then we want to write a proof. Okay, so to show that the halves of the two triangular windows are congruent. So we want to show that this side over here is congruent to the other side over here. So when we go to that, so we want to show, this is what we want to show, BDA. So BDA, this left-hand side, is congruent to the right-hand side. So that's our goal. That's what we're trying to show, that those two triangles are congruent. Well, we always start with our given. So it's given that BD is the perpendicular. Perpendicular means I have a right angle. So if that side's a right angle, that's a right side. And then bisector. Bisector means it cuts it in half. So I know that that's congruent. So again, if I look at it, I have a side here. So now that we have multiple ones, it's not as simple. So I have a side here, I have a side here. I have an angle because of perpendicular bisector. So then if I look at it, I need either side angle side or angle side angle. Right now we have these two, side angle side or angle side angle. Well, do I have another side or angle that's congruent? And if I look at this middle one, BD is congruent to BD. So this side would be congruent. So that would be a side. And so we look at it, we have SAS. So I kind of write it out this way. Okay, so then if I go through it, I know that AD is congruent to DC. So this line right here is congruent to this line. Why? Because that's a definition of bisector, And then for my angle, I know that angle BDA, we're talking this angle here now, is congruent to angle BDC, okay, by definition of perpendicular now. Or you could say they're perpendicular of a linear pair. And then the last thing is that side. So we could say BD, B, there you go, D, is congruent to BD by, and this would be the reflexive property. And so then, again, always my last statement. So then triangle BDA is congruent to triangle BDC by side angle side. So we're always going to be looking for whether it be reflexive property, perpendicular bisector, vertical angles. We're going to be looking at these. So then we come through here, CD, this line bisects AE. So AE is split into two equal parts. AE bisects CD. So then we know that these are congruent. So if I look at it, I have a side and I have a side. So I have two sides. So I know right now I have side angle side or angle side angle. Those are my only two options. I know that I have two sides. So I'm thinking this one. I'm thinking side, angle, side. Okay. When you go through a proof, guys, you can really start filling in like a lot of things. Like you could go ABC is congruent to angle EBD. Okay, so I could fill in this part. Now, we got to show our sides are congruent. So I know that AB is congruent to BE. And this would be by definition of bisector. By definition of bisector. And I also can jump down to the other one and say that CB is congruent to BD, again by definition of bisector. So I know that these ones will work. So then the last thing we look at is what's the angle that will work. And if I look at it, I have this cross, I see, so I know that this angle is congruent to that angle by our vertical angles. And so I'd say angle ABC is congruent to angle DBE. And these are because they are vertical angles. So we have our steps, and then the last thing, so therefore I know that these triangles are congruent by side angle side. So that's what we'd be looking at. Last one that you go through is it says AB. So A to B is congruent to A to D. And then it says that these two angles are congruent. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. All right. So I know I have a side, I have a side, I have an angle, I have an angle. Okay. So once again, if I'm looking at it, I got to think it's either side angle side or angle side angle. So what other thing do I know? I have a side, I have an angle, so we could go either way. But if I look at this again, AC is congruent to AC, that would be a side. That's our reflexive property. And so we go down through it, say side, angle, side. So I know that AB is congruent to AD because that's given to us. I know that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2 because that's given to us. And now I know that AC is congruent to AC because of the reflexive property. And so now I can say that triangle BAC is congruent to triangle DAC. And that would be by side angle side. So that's our lesson on side angle side, similar to angle side angle, just different things that we need to know.